I'm Seth with According to Seth. It's a pleasure to meet you in person and see you again. Congrats on the Creep tapes.
Thanks so much.
Listen, I have to ask, how did you guys get this idea of having a copycat, and what was it like working with David? Because you two, it was just absolutely brilliant.
I mean, look, we're obsessed with David. He sat next to Patrick and Patrick's wife, Lindsay, at the premiere of the Creep Tape Season 1 at Vidiot's Theater in LA. We had not yet met him, and when it got to the episode with my character and his mother, he leaned over to Patrick and he was like, "You're so and we're like,
noted.
And so, you know, we had a very honest conversation with ourselves, and we said, yes, if we were starting the Creep franchise today, we probably would have cast David instead of me to play this character. So the next best thing we can do is bring him in as a copycat killer. And then we questioned, like, is it too early for us to become self-referential?
Yes, so up our own butts.
And then we said, fuck it. 'Cause that's what we've always said when we get an idea for the show. We make it cheaply enough and recklessly enough that we get to say fuck it.
I loved when you were like, because it seemed like it was like a shot-for-shot replica, and I was like, you go, you're already going to the bathroom? What's going on here? And I just thought it was so funny. Was that dance at the end? Whose idea was that for him to just start dancing it out?
It was written in there that we would have something that approximated a lot of the early Peach Fuzz grind, and that he wasn't able to get it right. But really, David brought, I think, the emotionality to it, and I would say he choreographed his own dance.
100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. What is the process like when coming up with a new idea for the murders? Like the house flipping show with Genus. Honestly, those first 3 episodes were some of my favorite of the franchise.
Oh, amazing!
Like, absolutely love them.
Great.
So what's that like brainstorming session for you both?
I mean, we have a million ideas for this show. We have a Google Doc that we've kind of passed back and forth between us. But, you know,
so many stupid
ideas. But I think it's like, I mean, what's great about this show and what's great about this forum of being able to tell these little stories in 25, 30 minutes is we know this character so well at this point. So any little thing can be inspiring to us during the day and can kind of then be the seed that then I'll mention a movie to Mark, or I'll mention a scenario to Mark, or Mark will have a vision of Joseph in some kind of space, and then we kind of expand from there, you know.
Poor AMC and Shudder. We have this lovely thing where we get on a Zoom with them and we pitch them all the episodes that we're gonna make. They get so excited about it, and then we deliver the tapes, and they're like, "You ended up making like a completely different episode." Like, what the hell? We just follow our bliss and the giggle fest that has existed between me and Patrick for the last 15 years of our friendship is the core of it all, and we just trust that.
Was there like an idea that you guys had that didn't make this season that like you really want to make?
Yes.
No, there are episodes that are fully written that we didn't make this season that, God willing, if we get to do another, will be on the table for sure.
You guys will definitely make another. I need it. Patrick, with season 2, what was the biggest challenge you faced compared to season 1? Because like I said, after seeing those first 3 episodes, you guys didn't miss a beat.
Oh, well, I think, you know, as I've said, the first season was kind of made in a vacuum where it was just Mark and I coming up with an idea of like what a Creep television show could look like, not knowing what the audience was going to think of that, good or bad. And so, you know, having the first season come out and be successful in the way that it was and folks respond to it, but then also like wanting to make sure that we absolutely were not repeating ourselves and wanting to create situations for Mark's character where we were getting out of the cabin essentially and flipping things up and shifting, you know, within the middle of an episode of what you think you're watching one thing and then it's another, like with our Wes episode. And so I think being really honest with ourselves and challenging ourselves and saying like, no, what's the thing that we can do here that would be a total surprise and unexpected? Yeah.
That's awesome. And, you know, for you, Mark, you're unreal in this. Like this character you've created, like you keep coming back to Peach Fuzz and there's just somehow you switch from comedy to just like straight up serial killer in like an instant. So what is it about this character that you love so much that you want to keep coming back?
I feel like, for better or worse, I really understand him and I really like him. I find him very interesting. He has notions of what integrity are that are not necessarily my notions, but I like to play them. I think he, at his core, is in search of deep human connection and quickly. And I think that is ultimately his downfalls. He likes to move a little too fast for how the world moves. But then I think there are things I've discovered in this character that I could not have planned for, which, you know, are when you have someone who has watched as many movies as this character has watched, and he's watched them so many times and has some DNA in his personality that is a click or two off, you have the ability for him to shapeshift and inhabit so many different characters. So when you sometimes play a character for a long time, like I did on The League or like I did on The Morning Show, you can actually find that that character starts to narrow itself, and then you find the lane to be at times a little suffocating by season 4 or 5. This character, just, it's a reverse funnel. It just keeps growing and opening to what he can be. And I don't know, really understand why, but I'm just grateful.
I was thinking, it just made me think about the last episode of the first season where we are sort of putting a pin on that in a way that we'd never done before, or defining that in a way that we'd never done before in his conversations with his mom, where she's like, you're confusing reality from in that case, Forrest Gump, this memory that you're having.
Yeah, we've all done it.
And your character says, well, you know, can't it be both? Can't it be real and be Forrest Gump too at the same time?
Yeah, you just define the franchise.
So that actually, because obviously you said you're like an encyclopedia now with that character. So for both of you, if you had a victim and you had to make them watch one movie, what movie would you make them watch?
He's more of a Leonard Maltin's movie guide than an encyclopedia.
I think so. He definitely is. I think, you know, if Joseph sat down and really wanted someone to understand him and to connect with what he's all about, he'd sit down and make them watch Same Time Next Year on a loop. I think that would be the one. Yeah.
That's awesome. And, you know, like you said, you've done The League, The Morning Show, all these incredible, I mean, your catalog's so impressive. So what do you find the biggest challenge with tackling horror?
Well, we don't really see it as like, you know, we're going to go do a horror show. I think that we saw this as, you know, first and foremost, something that uses the found footage form, because it's cheap to be made and we can do it on the right budget with a small group of people and have fun doing it. Then when we discovered how deeply unsettling this character was, we thought, okay, let's clearly saddle this in the horror genre. But I think for us, we were at first nervous that because we weren't genre hounds, that we might be not accepted by the community. And then we sort of learned that, like, oh, like the love and the sweetness and the slow paced strangeness is actually what makes us unique inside of the horror, you know, sort of genre. So the fans keep telling us that. They're like, that's what we love about you. So that has made us feel more comfortable to just be us inside of the form.
That's awesome. I mean, you guys have been crushing it. And, you know, obviously with season 2, was there a moment on set that both of you, where you were just like, you know, this is like the best day ever, something that's just going to stick with you for the rest of your lives?
Lots of
I mean, I was going to say there's plenty with every episode for sure. But I also think being in the flow with David Dastmalchian up in that cabin and the inevitable sort of like bonding therapy sessions that these episodes become was sort of doubled with David just because he's such a deep feeling, intuitive, sweet person. He was, you know, we're always willing to go to that place as quickly as possible, and damn, that was like a rocket ship.
It's true. Like the making of these shows is a lot like the shows themselves. Patrick and I are like the Joseph in this scenario. We bring an actor and they're like, come sleep in this cabin with us and make an episode. And we're just like open and excited for them. And sometimes, you know, it's not as quick to gel as it was with David. David is just, he's a great person. Yeah.
So I also, like I said, I loved all 3 episodes, but episode 2, when it seemed like you were going to get captured and taken in, has that ever been an idea where he actually does get, you know, fully uncaptured? You know, like he goes to jail and he somehow finds his way out because he's such a smart character and he knows everything. And he seems like he would plan for something like that. So let
us be clear. We have like a document full of like at least 60 episode ideas of every permutation you can possibly imagine. But the Wes episode was one where we really were excited to break the form, kind of in the way that Psycho breaks the form for itself. You think it's going to be one thing, and then, you know, a third of the way through, now we're in new territory. And so we wanted to answer that question if anybody was asking, you know, is this going to become a format? Is this going to become repetitive? You know, we wanted to show you that we're watching that and we're ready to upend it.
That's awesome. So what are you both most excited for people to see this season? And is there a favorite episode of yours for each of you?
Well, I do have my favorite episode. I would never say it publicly. There is one episode, and it's you know, near the end of the season, that I cannot wait for people to see and how they react to it. It's pushing the envelope on a couple of fronts.
Yes.
And I can't say what that is, unfortunately. I think it's just the whole thing. You know, I think like I'm a little less fearful of how people are going to receive it.
Yeah.
This year, I think we now know what we have here is we have some people's favorite show of all time, and they tell us that religiously. And then we have a show that some people think, what the fuck is this? And I'll never watch that again. And that's okay.
Fine.
We're so cool with that. And so it's, there's a fearlessness and a fun now.
Yeah, it's just exciting right now.
Do you guys want to keep going the show route, or would you consider making another movie with this?
All of it.
We want to do it all.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And is there a guest star that you're most excited for this season? Because I got sent that this morning. So.
I can't. I mean, we can't pick one.
We can't. We love all of our children.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, like, what's so great about this show is it's a wonderful breath of sometimes casting filmmakers, you know, who are not only great actors but great writers, producers, who can become partners with us. But then also it's wonderful to cast people who don't see themselves as that and are just actors, and they become a part of that process with us. Some that are better known in the horror community, like David S. Malishon and Robert Longstreet, and some that are like people you've never seen before that we get to expose you to for the first time. So the format of the show allows for that nice little balance.
That's awesome. And I know when I spoke to you last year, you said that, you know, when working with Mark, that he just kind of just takes over and you don't really have to direct him as much. So is there something that he's taught you with working with him, you know, all these years that, you know, has helped you become a better filmmaker?
Yeah. I mean, I think making Creep as my first movie, fresh out of film school, never having made a narrative film before, it is my grad school. I mean, not only watching a documentation of me learning how to act on screen, but I'm also learning and sort of intuiting what worked for me as an actor, and then applying that to working with other actors in the future. So like, there isn't a film that I work on or an actor that I work with that I'm not thinking about my own personal experience. And a big part of that, I think, was just creating a space to be able to fail, and a place without judgment, and a supportive place. And I think if you're doing that as a director, that's like 75% of the work, especially when it comes to working with actors, you know?
What about you, Mark? Is there something that you learned from Patrick that, you know, has helped you become a better actor?
Yes. It is, well, I would say the thing that has really helped he's changed my thoughts on what it means to be a good partner and a good co-creator with someone. And it is that once holding, I support you, I see you, I love you, I've got you. And then also do another take. Because there's a good chance it's going to be better, or at least different. Because that's the great push and pull of me and Patrick. Is I do this like Herculean acrobatic take with this, you know, and I'm fucking exhausted. And I'm like, that was an A-. That's pretty good. And I'm like, let's go to lunch. And Patrick's like,
no.
Or we could do another one. And he's always right, we should. And we don't always use it, but we should always do it. So.
That's amazing. And last question I have for you. You already brought up The League. It's one of my all-time favorite shows. Okay. I rewatch it every year before fantasy football. So I wanted to ask you, who do I start this week? Because I got a ton of injuries. So, and you don't have to know the players. You can just pick one for me. So between Travis Hunter or Jordan Addison.
Let me go into Pete Eckhart real quick. The answer is If you have to ask me that question, you got a lot bigger problems than your fantasy football league.
I am 0-3 right now, so it's not great. Well, thank you both so much for your
Thanks,
time.
man.
Congrats
Cheers.
on today, and I
Appreciate
can't wait
it.
for people to see it.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.